Okay, so if you're running a manufacturing operation, you know this feeling, right? That constant low-level chaos.
Yeah. It's not always dramatic failures. It's often that slow burn of wasted potential.
Exactly. It's the buyer maybe placing an urgent order for materials you actually have, but they're lost somewhere in the
Or
system.
the production manager who's kind of guessing capacity based on, last month's numbers.
And don't forget the accounting team drowning in paperwork because none of the systems actually talk to each other.
Right. And that scattergun approach, that's really why manufacturers often get stuck just reacting to problems.
Instead of proactively driving efficiency.
Precisely. When your data lives in all these separate silos, inventory here, payroll there, shop floor somewhere else, you completely lose sight of the connections.
The critical connections that really dictate profitability and, maybe most importantly, your cash flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the vulnerability, the strategic blind spot we're really digging into today. We're pulling back the curtain on enterprise resource planning, or ERP. Now, I know it often gets a bad rap as just, expensive corporate IT,
It does sometimes.
but we're going to argue it might just be the single most powerful lever you have for growth.
I agree. ERP solutions, when done right, are fundamentally the digital backbone of modern manufacturing. They integrate pretty much every business function onto one single data platform.
Okay.
So our mission today really is to understand how that integration actually works. How does ERP get rid of all that friction from manual data entry and disconnected processes?
And give you that real-time strategic view across the whole value chain.
Exactly. Foresight, not just hindsight.
Right. So when we talk about unification, it sounds like we're talking about breaking down those old department walls.
We are.
Because for a lot of people, like I said, ERP just means big software project. What's the fundamental difference between this kind of unified system and just having, say, separate tools for separate jobs?
That's a great question. The difference really is integration and strategy. Point solutions, they manage a single task, right?
Right.
Inventory maybe, but ERP manages the relationship between all those tasks. It connects procurement with production, quality control with accounting, logistics.
Mm-hmm.
It's all under one data-driven roof.
Okay.
And that insight, that unified approach, that's the core of the transformation. It turns all those disconnected processes, which are basically friction and delay,
Right.
into standardized, efficient workflows.
Synthesis, turning friction into efficiency. Okay, I like that. So let's unpack this. Where specifically does ERP inject that productivity? If we start at the beginning, planning, the first function mentioned is production planning and scheduling.
Yep.
Now that sounds straightforward, like just making a schedule.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing the real power here is shifting away from just looking backwards.
Absolutely. You've hit it. ERP acts like your advanced digital planner. It's not just looking at what you did last month.
Right.
It's actively balancing predicted market demand against the live dynamic capacity of your resources.
So actual machine availability, specific labor skills, current materials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of that. It shifts scheduling from what is often a historical guessing game to a much more precise, predictive model for allocating resources.
And the result.
Well, you can sequence tasks to maximize machine uptime, you can reduce those nasty surprises from unplanned maintenance, and ultimately, you achieve significantly higher throughput.
Okay, higher throughput is key. But output obviously depends on having the right materials. So the next weak spot is always inventory, isn't it?
Always.
Running out of stock, that obviously stops the line. Catastrophic. But what's the hidden cost, the strategic cost of keeping too much stock?
That's tied up capital. Pure and simple. Every dollar that's sitting unnecessarily on a warehouse shelf is a dollar you can't invest in innovation or R&D or expanding your market reach.
Right. Money doing nothing.
Exactly. So
Yep.
ERP tackles this head-on with its inventory and materials management function. It gives you real-time tracking from the moment raw materials arrive right through work in progress to the finished goods going out the door.
And that allows for, what was it? Just in time?
Yes. Just in time, or JIT principles. It allows you to manage with that kind of precision. The system helps ensure you purchase only what's truly needed for upcoming production, minimizing waste.
And crucially.
Crucially, it proactively frees up working capital. That's direct liquidity management in action. Cash back in the business.
Okay, that makes sense. So that takes us from planning and materials right onto the shop floor itself. Now, we often hear terms like MES and ERP, sometimes almost interchangeably. What's the actual relationship there, and where does the shop floor control efficiency really come from?
That's a common point of confusion. Think of it like this.
Yeah.
The ERP is maybe the brain handling the strategic planning, the big picture, the long-term order execution.
Okay.
The MES, or Manufacturing Execution System, is more like the spinal cord. It's reacting in real time, executing machine commands, collecting data in milliseconds.
Got it. Brain and nervous system.
Kinda, yeah. A good, robust ERP system will either integrate very tightly with an MES or even include that shop floor control capability itself.
And the benefit.
It gives managers real-time monitoring machine utilization, labor efficiency, the flow on production lines. If the system spots a tiny bottleneck forming, maybe a machine running a bit slow, or a slight deviation in material use,
It flags it immediately.
instantly, yeah,
Yeah.
which allows for really rapid process adjustments. And that reaction capability, right there in the moment, it's crucial for maintaining peak output and stopping small delays snowballing into major shutdowns.
And that immediate feedback, that real-time visibility, that must be absolutely vital when we talk about quality control too.
Oh, it's fundamental. Quality management and compliance. This is really where accountability meets risk mitigation.
Because quality issues downstream are incredibly expensive.
Hugely expensive and often preventable.
Yeah.
ERP systems capture complete traceability. And that means documenting every single ingredient, every batch record, every inspection point, right from the original supplier of raw materials all the way through to the final customer shipment.
Wow. Okay. Full history.
Full history. And this isn't just box ticking for regulatory compliance, so that's essential. It drastically cuts the financial hit from things like rework, scrap material, costly warranty claims, and potentially even fines for non-conformance.
Right. So if we've nailed planning and quality inside the factory walls, the next potential point of failure is often outside the gate, isn't it? Supplier risk.
Precisely. You're thinking along the chain. That leads us to supply chain and vendor integration.
Okay.
The ERP system extends its visibility outward into procurement. It can automatically monitor vendor performance based on past deliveries, track incoming orders in real time, and even flag potential delivery delays based on historical data or current conditions.
So you can see trouble coming.
You can anticipate it, yeah.
If it
Allows manufacturers to proactively identify maybe less reliable suppliers,
Right.
anticipate material shortages before they hit the production schedule, and just generally keep the production flow smooth, even when there's volatility outside.
Okay. And then finally, pulling all this incredible amount of data together from planning, inventory, shop floor, quality suppliers, we get to the brains of the operation, analytics.
Yes, analytics and decision support. This is really where the ERP converts that, frankly, massive torrent of data into predictive, actionable intelligence.
Not just data, but insights.
Exactly. It consolidates everything into real-time dashboards. Managers can see key performance indicators, KPIs, precise production costs, detailed efficiency metrics, all updated constantly.
So no more waiting for the quarterly report to see how things went.
No more driving using the rearview mirror. This lets managers use current data for proactive decisions, maybe adjusting a pricing strategy today based on real costs or reallocating specialized labor now, not next quarter. That has a significant direct impact on profitability.
What's really fascinating here, I think, is how the right technical features in an ERP seem to directly dictate that strategic payoff, that financial win. Because not all ERP systems are created equal, right? What are those essential distinguishing features a manufacturer should really look for beyond just the basic list of modules?
Well, the real differentiators often lie in the sophistication of the planning tools. You need advanced MRP and forecasting.
Okay, what does advanced mean here?
It means it's not just basic material requirements planning, like we need X amount of Y. It uses more complex algorithms to actually predict demand fluctuations, maybe based on seasonality or market trends, and then automate material scheduling based on optimal inventory levels.
So it directly minimizes over-ordering and waste.
Directly, yeah. It's smarter planning.
And if you can plan the materials that precisely, you obviously need to make sure the resources, machines, people are actually available to execute that plan.
Exactly right. So you also need robust production scheduling and capacity planning features. This lets your operations teams actually model resource availability properly. They can factor in planned preventative maintenance downtime, predict potential bottlenecks before they happen. It shifts planning from, let's say, hopeful optimism
To grounded reality.
yeah, grounded reality.
Right.
Yeah. And then for accountability, especially in regulated industries, high-level quality and traceability management is crucial.
The batch records, the audit trails.
All of that. It's non-negotiable for risk mitigation.
Okay, this all sounds great, almost ideal. But let's tackle the elephant in the room. Customization versus standardization. If ERP is designed to standardize processes for efficiency,
Hmm.
doesn't that create a lot of operational friction if you have a really unique, maybe highly bespoke manufacturing process? How do you fit that into a standard software box without losing your edge?
That is probably the single most important strategic question a business has to ask before they implement.
Mm.
The ideal system, it has to offer high scalability and configurability,
Ma-
meaning it needs options, cloud, on-premise,
Mhm.
maybe a hybrid deployment. But more importantly, it has to be flexible enough to align with the specific, unique demands of your industry and your way of working.
Whether you're making, I don't know, custom furniture or commodity chemicals.
Exactly. It shouldn't force you into a complete operational overhaul that destroys your competitive advantage. You want standardization, where it makes sense finance, basic reporting, but flexibility where your innovation really lies.
Right. Makes sense. Let's connect this back directly to the measurable payoff, the bottom line. We touched on cash flow earlier, but how does ERP directly improve liquidity and profit margins, maybe even in the short term?
Okay, short term, it's fundamentally about unlocking trapped liquidity. The most immediate financial impact often comes from smarter inventory management.
Back to that excess stock.
Back to that, when you eliminate even, say, 15 to 20% of that just-in-case buffer stock,
That cash is freed up.
immediately, it's liquid money you essentially reclaim from the warehouse floor. You can put it into innovation, pay down debt, whatever. It's available.
And we know bad quality absolutely kills margins.
Oh, it's a margin killer, full stop.
Yeah.
So, improved quality control, which is enabled by that real-time traceability and monitoring we talked about,
Right.
that leads to a massive reduction in scrap, rework, and especially those really painful warranty claims. That is a direct, almost instant boost to your profit margins.
Less money going out on fixing mistakes.
Exactly. And furthermore, think about the speed. By speeding up the entire production and delivery process, basically accelerating your order-to-cash cycle,
You get paid fast.
you get paid days, maybe even weeks sooner. That massively improves the velocity of your cash flow and the overall financial health of the business.
And there's one more piece, the strategic power of actually knowing your costs.
Yeah.
Accurate cost control.
Yes. This, for me, is the real strategic differentiator over time. ERP provides granular costing. It lets you monitor your production expenses, labor, materials, machine time, overhead at every single stage.
Down to the individual product or job.
Ideally, yes. And this level of detail, it doesn't just help you spot obvious waste. It informs your strategic pricing decisions. It helps you negotiate better terms with suppliers because you have hard data.
And crucially,
And crucially, it identifies exactly which product lines or which customers are truly profitable versus maybe just keeping you busy.
right. Okay, to make this really tangible, let's look at some of those metrics from the source material. There was a mid-sized food manufacturer mentioned battling some serious inconsistencies in their output.
Ah, yes, I remember that one. They struggled because their planning systems and their shop floor execution systems, their MES, they just weren't talking to each other.
So constant scheduling conflicts, equipment sitting idle.
Exactly.
Mm.
But by fully integrating their ERP with their shop floor control systems,
Mhm.
they achieved, and this is remarkable, a 40% boost in overall operational efficiency.
40%.
40%. And that figure, it represents actual production hours that were literally reclaimed through better resource allocation, making sure expensive machinery was running much closer to its peak capacity.
That's a huge operational win. And there was another example focusing more on the pure financial leverage, right? A larger firm that managed to centralize its supply chain and accounting.
That's right. By bringing purchasing, materials management, financial reporting all under one admittedly quite customized ERP solution, that company cut its inventory holding costs by 28% in just 6 months.
Wow, 28% in 6 months is fast.
It was very fast. And maybe even more importantly for them, the time it took to complete their really complex production planning cycles. It shrank from several weeks down to just a matter of hours.
Weeks to hours.
Weeks to hours. So these examples, they really demonstrate that for most manufacturers, you can expect to see tangible ROI, return on investment, within probably 12 to 24 months. And it's usually driven by both cost reduction and that boost in operational speed and efficiency.
Okay, but here's where it gets, let's say, really interesting or maybe challenging.
But
Yeah, even the best system, the most perfectly designed features, it can still fail if the implementation strategy is flawed, right?
oh, absolutely. Implementation is critical.
What are the common hurdles, the organizational obstacles that manufacturers tend to face when they try to put ERP in place?
Well, interestingly, the biggest obstacles often aren't purely technical. They tend to be organizational and process related.
Like what?
Like frequently struggling with poor data migration. Getting clean data out of old siloed systems is tough.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Pretty much. Then there's often a lack of comprehensive user training across every department that touches the system.
Not just the IT team.
Not just IT. Everyone needs to buy in and know how to use it. And crucially, so many projects start without clearly defined, measurable goals.
What does success actually look like?
Exactly. If you don't define success up front in specific terms, percentages reduced, days cut the system, almost by definition, can't deliver it for you.
Okay, so how do companies mitigate that risk? What's the clearer roadmap for success to make sure this pretty significant investment actually pays off?
Success really boils down to thorough preparation and strong executive commitment. The roadmap absolutely has to start by defining measurable goals.
Be specific.
Be specific, crystal clear, objective targets. We will reduce lead time by 15%. We aim to achieve a 10% reduction in material waste within 12 months. Things like that.
Defining success before you even start coding or configuring anything.
Before you start, exactly. Next, you absolutely must map current processes. You have to understand your existing workflows, identify the exact pain points, the real inefficiencies.
So you can align the ERP functionality with how things actually work on the ground.
Precisely. Then, of course, you choose the right solution. And this means matching the system's complexity, its features, and its cost to your company's size, your budget, and especially your unique production style and industry needs.
No one size fits all.
Yeah, why not? And the final critical step, you mentioned it, the people element.
Training.
You must train your teams comprehensively. A powerful system only delivers value if everyone, literally from the operator on the shop floor to the CFO, is proficient, comfortable using the data, and willing to adhere to the new standardized workflows.
Because implementation isn't the end, is it?
No, implementation is really just the start of a much bigger business transformation. It requires continuous effort on user adoption and process refinement.
Okay. So ultimately, this whole deep dive really confirms that ERP is, well, it's far more than just a giant database or a piece of software.
Much more.
It really acts as a growth catalyst. It turns that inefficiency, that friction we talked about, into tangible performance by bridging that critical gap between all the operational data and the strategic executive action.
Well said.
Yeah.
It genuinely allows businesses to work smarter, not just harder, by streamlining that entire value chain.
It really does seem to unlock financial potential.
It does, because a well-designed, well-implemented ERP maximizes how you use your resources, optimizing inventory, slashing waste. The long-term benefit is pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's sustainable, maximize profitability.
So let's leave our listeners with this. If you are currently operating without that unified, cohesive data, if your production systems, your planning systems, your financial systems aren't really talking to each other seamlessly, here's the provocative thought for you to maybe take away. How many days right now is your order-to-cash cycle being unnecessarily extended because of those disconnects?
Good question.
And maybe more importantly, what specific innovation, what growth opportunity could you fund with the working capital you'd reclaim if you could just shrink that cycle by, say, even 10%?
That difference, that gap, that's the hidden cost of operational friction.